Hi, I'm Chad, your Squarebody Stuff. Oh, welcome back to the channel, everybody. As you can hear, we got a little background noise. We got some rain coming in, and it's pretty much going to stick around the rest of the day. And so we're just going to deal with it. We need the rain, so I'm not going to complain a bit. Grass is just now starting to grow, starting to warm up a little bit. Yeah, so we'll just deal with it. But now let me show you what we got going on in this video. The last time I was driving Squeaky around, went to flip on my turn signal, then it just broke. It's a really common thing, especially with 6-year-old plastic components. It just breaks inside there. It's not a real hard fix, but instead of showing you how to do it inside the truck, because that is hard for me to get a good camera angle for you guys to see everything that's going on, I've got a steering column out there. Now, it's not exactly the same steering column. It is a 79 automatic non-tilt, and this is a 78 standard non-tilt. But all the stuff we're going to be working on today is pretty much the same. So let's get to working on that steering column and show you how to fix that floppy turn signal thing we got going on. Another thing we'll be doing is, once we go back together, I'm going to be putting this steering wheel in there. This is a Camaro steering wheel. Boop. A little bit smaller, not much difference in the diameter, just enough to make it a little easier to work with, because not being a tilt column and the seating arrangement in that truck, that factory steering wheel, as much as I like them, it just kind of a little bit too big. Well, my belly's a little bit big too, so put two and two together, a smaller steering wheel is going to help out a bunch. Now, before we get into tearing this thing apart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, that way you get notifications whenever I put out new videos. Also, if you want to really help support the channel, hit that membership button, join a membership. I think it goes from, it starts out at like 99 cents a month, and that'll help fund some of the stuff I do around here. And also with that membership, you'll get first viewing, or as soon as I put a video up on YouTube, you guys will get to see it, because sometimes these videos get uploaded to YouTube several days in advance. So if you got a membership, you'll be able to see the videos before anybody else does. Another way to support the channel is go to squarebodystuff.shop. That is our merchandise website, and you go pick you out a t-shirt. We got hats, we've got patches, we've got keychains, we've got stickers, and you all know I love my stickers. We've got the 339 sticker, and we got the OG Squarebody Stuff stickers, and we also have the round Squarebody Stuff logo. We got them in the, I think this is 4-inch, and we've also got them in the smaller size. And for the month of March, since it's my birthday month, put in Birthday Boy 79 in the promo code area, and you'll get 10% off your order and help celebrate my birthday. So it's been a while since I've done a good old-fashioned how-to video. So first thing I'm gonna do is go over the tools we need to use, and the parts we're going to use, and all that kind of stuff. One of the first things you're going to need is a steering wheel puller. You'll also need a steering wheel, or the lock plate removal tool. Now, I do have videos that are just about pulling steering wheel, and another one of just pulling the lock plate out, if you want to go check those out. I'll try to remember to put the link up in the corner, whichever corner it'll be. Also, you need a Phillips screwdriver, whatever wrenches or sockets you're going to need to work your particular pullers. We'll also need the parts. This is a Dorman kit 49300. They call it the turn signal cam assembly. These are the parts that break. Your turn signal lever goes right into this spot, and this spot usually breaks out, or it splits in other areas. They're just plastic pieces, and all they do is, you know, that makes your, it activates your turn signals. So another couple tools you might need, some sort of snap ring type pliers, or just needle nose pliers for the clip on the steering column to get the nut off. And then also you need, I think it's a 13/16. Usually it's a 13/16 socket for the nut on the middle of the steering wheel to get the steering wheel off. I've seen where they didn't have the clip. I've seen them where they didn't have the nut or the right size nut on there, so your application may vary. So what I'm gonna do is just set up the camera. I'll do a quick time lapse of pulling the steering wheel and pulling the lock plate. If you want more in depth on that, go to my other videos. It explains a little bit more, but you should be able to get the idea of how it works on this video. And then I'll get into replacing that little plastic cam piece. All right, first thing we're gonna do is remove the horn button and get some snap ring pliers. I've been into several of them where they didn't have this snap ring anymore. It may or may not be a necessity. It's just kind of a safety to keep that nut from backing out on its own. Next thing we need is actually a Torx head on this one. It's a T20. I know I said earlier you needed Phillips. Some of these are Phillips, I think, on the older ones. But remove those 3 screws. Be careful with that little plastic piece that they go into. It can be real brittle. May already be broke. Get that little plate out. Hook your steering wheel puller up. I kind of sped things up here because I do have another video, as I said before, of just removing the steering wheel, and also have a separate video of removing the lock plate. Now we're removing the lock plate cover. Installing the lock plate removal tool, pretty straightforward. I get that, say, the clip up and get that out of there, and the little green horn canceling cam is what that's called. This right here is pretty much exactly what the turn signal deal looked like in Squeaky. Broken about the same way. It's pretty typical. Just remove that screw there. Next, we'll need to remove the clips. Get this little one out of the way first, because it kind of helps retain the other one. It can be a little bit of a pain, especially if you got chubby little sausages on the end of your hands like I do. Get that one out going that way. Make sure you don't lose those guys. It should have 2 clips. That one there is missing. It's already broke off. They're pretty brittle, so be careful with those. Just pry it out a little bit away from that clip. And sometimes they'll just slide out, but more than likely you probably have to have a pair of pliers or something to kind of pull it out, and it should just slide out just like that. Now these contacts there, we'll make sure that they're in good shape, not all corroded. All right, now we're just cleaning off the contacts. These weren't too awful dirty. I've seen some of them that were really corroded. Might have to take some emery cloth and a little bit of elbow grease to really get them cleaned up. But you want to make sure these are clean, because your brake lights, turn signals, obviously, and your hazards all go through these contacts. You want to make sure they're good and clean. And there's 2 different styles that come with the kit. You want to make sure you use the one that matches yours. And we'll be transferring those contacts to the new. Alright, we'll remove these contacts. Just be careful, there's a couple springs underneath there. Just going to kind of pry out the tab. Keep track of all the springs and everything, so we'll be putting this on the new assembly. Make sure your contacts are good and clean. And just get your springs back in there. Now these I had to kind of bend the tabs back in a little bit to fit this assembly, or this piece, the newer piece. They didn't hold in there very good. You'll see me bend them in a little bit. You don't want them flopping around. It doesn't take much. You don't want to bend them too far. Just make sure they're good, and they're good, not popping out. Next, we're putting in the, I call the canceling springs. They rub on that green canceling cam deal we pulled out earlier, right after the lock plate. And that's what pushes on the deal and disconnects it. Hey, there's Tex. He likes to wave with his back foot for some reason. Now we're getting ready to put things back together. I like to put a little dielectric grease on the contacts. There may or may not be better stuff. I'm not sure. This is what I always use. It seems to work okay. Spread that on there a little bit. Take our new assembly, snap it down in there. Make sure it moves nice and free. And first you're going to put this one back in. Kind of slide it in, push it down and get it snapped on the little retaining nub that's on there. Make sure nothing's binding up. And I forgot to put my dielectric grease on there. That's all I use for lubrication on this stuff. Now stick that back in there. Where those holes are, there's little nubs that stick down that they kind of grab onto. And this one, it's a little tricky to get in there. But if you're patient, you can get it. It's a lot easier doing it with the steering wheel column like this than it is in the truck, but this is about the easiest way I could show you guys how to do all this and get the camera angle right and all that stuff. But make sure that's good and seated in there. Make sure it works properly. Make sure those tangs are in there good. You don't want that thing popping out and causing problems. Have to take your steering wheel back off again. And install your turn signal lever. Now if you have a 84 or newer with the multifunction switch or your windshield wipers and all that stuff up on your column, this is the same thing. You'll just have, it won't be any different. There's just a little bit of a different clip that connects to this where we're screwing the lever on. I'll show you that here in just a second. But it'll be this guy right there if you have the later model steering column. But it'll hook to your switch, and then it also just screw right in to where this lever is. And there's also two different styles, these canceling cams. This one is broke, obviously, and then I found another one that was good, but this is a different style. I believe the green one is for the non-tilt and the white one is for tilt column. Just kind of showing you the difference there. And those springs, there's a different size springs for tilt and non-tilt. And I actually happen to have one of the new canceling cams on the shelf, so yay for me. I get to put it in there and get this horn working on squeaky again. You'll need to put the spring in there, and then the contact. It's got a little keeper. It's got a nub on it that kind of slides in and locks. And that's what the horn button pushes on to make contact with the contactor inside and still be able to spin around. This deal also cancels out the turn signal. When you turn the turn signal on and turn your steering wheel, it will click your turn signal off. And you want to get that oriented the right way. There is a space there that lock plate will only go on one way. So you'll want to make sure that you get everything all lined up. You get your snap ring, I kind of done this the hard way. The lock plate installation tool or removal tool, you can actually slide it up, slide that snap ring up on the gold piece. It kind of pushes on the shaft, and it stays in place. That way when you go back together, it will just slide right back down onto the shaft. I'm just kind of getting it in position. Get the lock plate installation tool back on there. All right, getting the clip on there in its little groove. Text decided to come supervise a little closer, make sure I'm doing it right. And with the tool off of there, and you can kind of move this canceling cam around a little bit to get it centered. If you're a couple splines off on your steering wheel, you can move that back and forth and get your steering wheel nice and lined up. And next, make sure everything's good and lined up. Get your steering wheel back on the way it was. Orient your horn button, everything where it needs to be. Now I'm not going to tighten this down or put the bolt on because I got to take all this back apart and put it into squeaky steering column. Get it back together. So you can actually move that around a little bit to get your splines lined up. Well, I hope the voiceover worked okay for you guys, because that was the first time I've ever attempted that. But the rain was so loud, I just couldn't wait. So hopefully you got everything you could out of that. We've got the steering wheel, everything put back together and squeaky the way it needs to be. So first off, the thing I'm most excited about is I've got a horn button now. With the key on, we've got left turn signal, right turn signal, and even the hazards work. Now I think I'm really going to like this steering wheel in this truck because it gives me a little extra room getting in and out and just driving them. We got turn signals that work, horn, everything works now. That's a good thing too. Well, hopefully you got something out of this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, you'll keep your square bodies rolling. We'll catch you later.